This is Hino's Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. We keeping a foot on the what? On the X. We keeping a foot on the what? On the X. Now let's talk about it, man. This one was a very interesting one because DJ Armstrong talked about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant playing basketball in their mind. The way that he talked about this story was so intriguing because in the way that they played the game, basically what BJ Armstrong was left with was they both talked about how they would play each other. And what was so interesting about the conversation was how Michael Jordan was basically telling him, well, I'm going to catch the ball in the post. And Kobe Bryant was like, but how you going to catch the ball? I like that. That was good. But they all came to a common denominator. And the common denominator was, Jordan said, but I have those mitts. I have bigger hands than you. And although Kobe Bryant conceded to that, he did not concede to the argument. Let me say it again. Although he conceded to that and said, yeah, you do make a great point. You do have bigger hands. He did not concede to the argument. Because these were two true alpha extraordinaires that were going back and forth. In BJ Armstrong's assessment, Kobe agreed that Michael Jordan had the bigger hands, but Kobe still didn't defer. This is what a Michael Jordan and a Kobe Bryant looks like when they play the game of basketball. If they both played in the same genre or they both played in the same era, they would be trading years of winning NBA championships. Let me say it again. They would be trading years of winning NBA championships because you have to look at Michael Jordan and you have to look at Kobe Bryant and you have to look at what is fundamentally different with them and what is fundamentally the same. The fundamental same thing that they got going on, because I know their games better than anybody. I'm actually the most subject matter expert when it comes to the Michael Jordan and the Kobe Bryant game. Let me say it again. I'm the most subject matter expert when it comes to the Michael Jordan and the Kobe Bryant game. So get the notepads out, get to the damn scribbling, and like a turkey, gobble this thing up because he knows the sport is going in Yoda mode with this. The fundamental same thing that they both have is they're both cold-hearted, assassins mentality type of basketball players. They are willing to leave a child hanging on the side just so that they can go and win the championship and then go pick the child up. That's how they think. That's how their minds operate with basketball. And I'm not saying this as a thing to make it sound like it's a bad thing. I'm just getting you to understand their competitive mindset. Their competitive mindset is when they are focused on a task and they're focused on getting that task done, then nothing stands in the way of that task, regardless what the circumstance, regardless what the obstacle is. That's just the way their competitive nature is wired. And I'm saying this because this is something that's been denoted in the NBA 50 book when they talked about Jordan and they talked about him being the most cold-blooded assassin's mentality. And Jordan said he would leave his family to the side just to go and win that championship and then come back and get them. That's the way that these guys are wired. Now, I know that may be offensive to some people, but you have to understand the competitive mindset. The competitive mindset is when I'm locked in and I'm focused on something and I'm trying to get something done and I'm doing it in the most cold-blooded assassin's mentality variation, nothing can stand in the way. Absolutely nothing. I have to get this done and then I can pick up everything else after the fact. That's what I meant when I was saying that, just so that you guys can get some clarification on that. But the bottom line is this. That's where the buck stops with them in terms of them having the same mindset. But they fundamentally go about it a different way. They skin the cat a different way. Let me say it again. They go about it a different way. They skin the cat a different way. Remember, Jordan is the black cat to Kobe Bryant's caramel cat. Let me say it again. Jordan is the black cat to Kobe Bryant's caramel cat. So you have to fundamentally look on how they are different as basketball players. Jordan is always going to opt for the highest percentage basketball shot. That's just the way he's wired because of the college education that he got under Dean Smith. Always go for the highest percentage shot. Always goes for the baskets that makes the absolute most sense on the basketball court. Kobe, on the other hand, he doesn't think like that. Kobe will take the absolute worst shot there is in basketball. Because in Kobe's mind, the basket is like an ocean. And as long as he has the ball in his hands, he's willing to shoot it from anywhere. Now, this is where you could say that Michael Jordan has the upper advantage over Kobe, because if you're willing to take the highest percentage shot, then that means that you're willing to take the shot that's going to give you the highest probability of winning. This is just simple mathematics. And when you're dealing with two guys that's at this level, that it's like looking at a translucent or a transparent mirror. Let me say it again. And when you're looking at two guys at this level, that's like looking at a transparent or translucent mirror, then this is apples versus apples. So at this point, if one guy's telling you that he's going to take the higher percentage shot, then you have to kind of lean towards that favor, because you're dealing with, again, a translucent and a transparent mirror. So whoever's doing better is going to have the edge. That's how thin the margin is between these two guys. Here's the advantage that Kobe has over Jordan. Jordan, although he is a complete package basketball player, so much so like Kobe Bryant, Kobe's game is more expansive, because Kobe Bryant is able to extend where he can be able to put the ball on the floor. Jordan's not as extensive or as expansive, because Jordan didn't work on all of those elements. That's not to say that Jordan couldn't be that way, because Jordan is a complete package. And remember, when you're a complete package, you can be complete. But we got to call a spade here. Kobe Bryant put in the work to ensure that his game was so expansive. Case in point, good reference, go look at where Kobe Bryant put the ball on the floor against Ruben Patterson. Go look at where he shot the basketball from. Ridiculous. They came back and did it again because Ruben Patterson was considered the quote-unquote ball stopper. Go look at the inches and margins that Kobe Bryant shot the fadeaway, because this was the single most highest degree fadeaway that Kobe could ever take, between Brandon Roy and that other Portland Trailblazers player. The inches and the margin and distance and how he faded away the basketball to get that basketball in there. That's when he scored 65 on the Portland Trailblazers. It was redunculous, man. Let me say it again. It was redunculous. Something we've never seen in basketball. And then when Kobe Bryant dropped the 81 points, and then when he dropped the 62 points in 29 minutes and 36 seconds, still an NBA record till this day, still a Guinness Book World Record. The thing with Kobe Bryant is he can score in such an extensive and an expansive way that Michael Jordan can't score. Michael Jordan is more boxed in terms of how he scores the basketball. When you look at his stat sheet, it's very patternized and it's very consistent on where he likes the basketball to go to him. Whereas Kobe Bryant, it's everywhere. When you look at the stat sheet, he's flooding everywhere, because that's just the way Kobe Bryant plays. So that's the advantage that you would say Kobe Bryant has over Michael Jordan. But then you also have to look at the other intangibles, what they bring to the basketball court. Jordan has the mitts over Kobe, right? Kobe is a better ball handler than Michael Jordan. Kobe's also slightly more skilled than Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan, you would say, is the stronger basketball player, the more defensive-minded basketball player. And Michael Jordan is what I would say the ultimate basketball player in terms of making the ultimate play. Now, when I say better defensive-minded, I'm not saying he's a better defensive player, because I believe, bar none, Kobe Bryant, pound for pound, is a better defender than Michael Jordan. And I know this is going to raise some people's eyebrows. I'm saying better defensive-minded because Jordan, in pressurized situations, because we got to judge these guys at the way they play their game at the highest levels. Jordan just made better decisions from a defensive standpoint than Kobe. This is why he has 6 rings and Kobe has 5. There's a reason for that. It's because Jordan knew in key situations how to exponentially play defense. He did this against the Utah Jazz when he knew that, okay, Scottie Pippen is out. I need to go in there and I need to strip that ball from Karl Malone. That was a premeditated thing. Jordan knew that had to happen in order for the Bulls to get over the hump. The New York Knicks, that defensive set. We haven't seen a defensive set in basketball like that. And I'm talking about consistent. When they were dissing Michael Jordan, you saw it on the Last Dance documentary. They were talking about his gambling situation. The Knicks went up 2-0. You know, the Bulls came back and tied that thing 2-2. Then we were going to Game 5. If you go back and look at that defensive set for 4 straight possessions on how the Chicago Bulls locked up the New York Knicks. I mean, it was ridiculous. And you know who was the orchestrator of that defense? It was Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen alluded to that. So Jordan, although not playing defense as full-time base as Kobe Bryant, Jordan was just more defensive-minded when it came to that. That's why he got the Defensive Player of the Year award. And it's not to say that Kobe Bryant could not get a Defensive Player of the Year award. It's just you have to look at situational basketball. See, when I'm talking a certain language, a lot of times it goes over people's heads because people think I'm talking about overall. Overall, Kobe is a better defender than Michael Jordan. But situational defense, Jordan has the edge over Kobe Bryant. So when you look at all of these things and you put all of these things together and you look at a game that's being played against these guys one-on-one, when it's all said and done, as much as I like Kobe being Bryant and as much as I know that Kobe Bryant can bust Michael Jordan, Jordan will slightly have the edge because Jordan has just that little bit extra that Kobe Bryant doesn't have. Plus the fact that Kobe Bryant out of his own mouth says, everything that I got it from him. Let me say it again. Everything that you see from me, everything that I got it from him. Came out of the GOAT's mouth. You can't argue that. So when Kobe says you see me, you see him, he's the heir apparent. And see, the problem with heir apparents is heir apparents, although they show themselves as just as good as the original, they are what they are, heir apparents. There can only be one original. And Jordan is the original. Kobe Bryant is the heir apparent. So when we look at this and we put it together and we look at a game that's being played between the both of them and how it will play out, Kobe's my guy. And yes, Kobe Bryant can beat Michael Jordan. He has the prerequisites. He has the skill sets. He has the tools. But you have to understand, Kobe Bryant is one of those guys that his motivation is always on. Here's the thing, when your motivation is always on, it's consistent, right? That means there's a consistent cap. Jordan is a log on the fire type of dude. That's dangerous. And it's more dangerous because when you have that log on the fire, your competitive and motivational drive goes to the extreme. So that means that you're always going to take it to the next level. It's not to say that Kobe is not willing to do that. It's just the fact that Kobe Bryant has a cap when it comes to how he operates from a motivational standpoint as opposed to Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant doesn't have to do weird things in his brain. Kobe Bryant doesn't have to come up with weird things in his mind. He's just motivated off of the strength of being motivated. That's fine and dandy. But when you become immune to that and you get used to it, then it is what it is. It's consistent. Jordan, because he's a log on a fire type of dude, he has to drive his competition to the extreme. This means that he's willing to drive that motivation to a level that's even past the consistent of what you would call a norm true alpha level. It's an extreme level because Jordan has to do this because this is his way of pushing himself to a level to where it goes past and beyond. We've seen Kobe Bryant emulate this stuff, and we've seen him mimic this stuff when he got slided with Tim Duncan. We've seen him emulate this stuff when Kobe Bryant got slided, you know what I'm saying, by Mark Cuban, who said luxury tax this. So Kobe has used this. It's not to say that Kobe Bryant can't. He has the ability. He has the wherewithal, but it's not his primary thing. His primary thing is just to be motivated for the strength of being motivated. Whereas with MJ, he gets motivated off of crazy threes. I know this to be true because I'm wired that way. I'm a log on the fire type of person. And what people don't understand is that's the highest variation of how to be motivated by anything. Because when you have a log on the fire, you are willing to go to extremes that even someone who does it on a norm, who does it on a regular, is not willing to go to. And that gives you a distinct advantage. This is why I love that mental game that Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant played against one another. And I love the way that B.J. Armstrong basically explained it because it confirmed what I always thought. One will not defer to the other. They will basically go at it. But I'm telling you, based on how that mental game will play on a physical game, if you have 5 games that's being played MJ's going to walk away with 3. Kobe's going to walk away with 2. And the reason why is because of the advantages that Michael Jordan has that are just slightly more than the advantages that Kobe has. And because of that, that is why I have to say from a deciding factor that Michael Jordan rules out and he wins. Gotta call a spade, gotta keep it real, gotta keep it a buck. But going back to what BJ Armstrong said and going back to that mental way of how they went about it, it was just beautiful that 2 guys were not willing to defer to one another. But what was interesting was Kobe Bryant understanding that, okay, the mitts that Michael Jordan has, that does give him an advantage. So because of that, yes, I could see why he could catch the ball. It's not to say that Kobe was going to defer, but one thing people have to come into the realization of, and that's what Kobe Bryant did, is you have to come into the realization of what's real and what's not. And what's real is Jordan has those mitts. He just has bigger hands than Kobe. So Kobe had to work on his skills that much more than Michael Jordan. Kobe had to do other things that much more than Michael Jordan just to be as great. And we know that to be true. Kobe proved that in his basketball career. But the bottom line is there's just certain distinct advantages that Michael Jordan has that we have to call a spade here. When you are the originator and you have an heir apparent that comes behind you, it all goes back to the first law of the 48 law of power. Never outshine the master. Let me say it again. Never outshine the master. Kobe's the student. Jordan's the master. But damn it, that student became a master in of itself. And I got to give him credit for that. Let me say it again. That student became a master in of himself. Got to give him credit for that. But what people have to understand is there's only one originator. So bottom line is, I love the way that BJ Armstrong illustrated it. I love the way he explained it. But this is the cold-hearted, this is the most visceral, and this is the unadulterated truth. Because we can't do 50-50 here. We have to make a pick. We have to double down on that bad boy with confidence and fortitude. And although I know that Kobe will beat MJ multiple times and he will give MJ fits, MJ just had a slightly distinct advantage. And because of that slightly distinct advantage, MJ was just a slightly distinct better than Kobe Bryant. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat true teller fashion. This is Hino's Sport. Check it out.